In 3, 2, 1, we are back and welcome to another episode of the Pon Pod. How you been? Good to know. Now listen, I want to talk about something.
Yeah.
And it's something you want to talk about.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about it.
Go on.
Shit. All right, keep going, keep rolling, my glasses. Anyway, yes, Miami Vice. How do you feel about it? Tell the people.
I presume we are, which is to clarify, this is not the 1984 to 1989 syndicated TV show. We're talking about the 2006 film adaptation,
yes,
helmed by Michael Mann, the co-creator of the TV show, who some 20 years later adapted it, modernized it, contemporized that most iconic of 80s TV shows, and brought it to the silver screen.
And your argument is?
That it is one of the most underrated, oft maligned, neo-noir crime classics ever seen, ever produced, ever written.
Now listen to this.
That's fighting talk, baby.
That is fighting talk.
Okay.
Like, it was a massive flop at the box office.
It was a huge flop for Universal.
High expectation.
Massive expectations.
And as far as I know, Michael Mann, the director, as you mentioned,
yes,
he wanted to initially make Miami Vice into a film. It then turned into a TV series, and then 20 years later becomes a film again.
That's right.
So he had this idea for it becoming a film to begin with.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be this dark, gritty film that we see today.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the TV show became somewhat of a bit of a glossy, frivolous, superficial police cop show, right? Which focused on glamour more than anything else.
Well, I mean, just to preface the TV show, because it was so iconic.
Yes.
We've dedicated a whole episode to this about a year ago.
Yeah.
That TV show was obviously viewed as a kind of style over substance production, even though it wasn't. Actually, Miami Vice, the TV show,
that's
was
what
actually
the word frivolous means.
Right. Well, Miami Vice, the TV show, is actually was actually quite a dark and hard-hitting
to begin with.
I think yes, to begin with, the first couple of seasons, yes,
into something else.
Yes, but it always
and what it transformed is what people remember it,
which was shoes made from wicker and unstructured pastel blazers.
Yes,
and
rolled up suit sleeves.
Sonny Crockett's Gold Day Date.
Yes, and great tans and grey hair.
And great tans, grey hair, and Ferrari Testarossas.
And a lot of women.
And a lot of
women.
bikinis. Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
Fine.
God bless you, Michael Mann, Don
right.
Johnson, Philip Michael Thomas.
So then we fast forward to 2006.
Yes.
Miami Vice, the movie. Big expectation, Michael Mann.
Yeah.
Not only because of the TV show, but because of what he had done before, Heat.
Okay, let's think about, say, some of the... Well, Heat...
Being the main one.
The greatest crime film ever made.
Okay.
No question.
Please, let's not get into the script of Heat.
Okay,
I know you're dying to.
Okay, and 2 years before, Collateral.
Okay, but I'm just saying Heat was the big one.
Yes.
Collateral did well too.
Collateral did do well.
Okay, fine. So now, out comes Miami Vice.
Yes. Here they come.
So it flops completely. And what do the critics say about it? Why does it do so badly?
I think the critics were kind of split, but they leaned towards more lukewarm reception.
Yeah.
I think they considered the film to have been kind of completely bereft of any kind of chemistry between the leads and bereft of a sense of humor.
Right.
Which I do maintain is the case.
Right.
Miami Vice is actually a film that contains almost no laughs.
Right.
Okay, and I would concede the point that the chemistry between the leads, Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx, who had just come off Oscar-winning turn playing Ray Charles in Ray, and Colin Farrell, who was kind of the big bow wow at the time, that these guys didn't get along on set either. Okay, and much of the
animosity
it stemmed actually from Jamie Foxx insisting on flying private while everyone else had to fly commercial. He had like a massive entourage, and this kind of was juxtaposed against diva behavior, against Colin Farrell's more kind of meat and potatoes approach to life and filming, right?
Okay.
So I think that obviously, I think that does resonate on screen. There isn't great chemistry between the leads. Having said that, and in spite of that, I do consider it one of the great crime films of all time.
Okay, so now I want 4 reasons
All right.
as to why you think it
Okay.
is one of the greatest crime films of all time.
Okay.
Reason number 1.
Reason number 1.
And don't say Colin Farrell's handlebar mustache because I know you're dying to.
Well, I was also going to say the hair dye.
Something I'm trying to emulate.
Yeah, you're doing it quite well, by the way. And the hair dye. I'm going to come onto the style later.
no, first.
Okay, no, the style. Okay.
I shouldn't have distracted you.
The first reason is the incredible introspective
Yeah.
and deep dive into police procedural work.
Right.
The process of cops, undercover cops,
Right.
the street speak,
The language of the cops.
language. Okay, Michael Mann's dedication and kind of obsession with the
Okay.
intricacies,
The details.
of yes.
I mean, it was big.
of police work.
That was a big part of Heat as well.
100%.
You're saying this is better?
I think, even though he is the better film,
Yeah.
okay, that the attention to detail, as far as like the forensic work of policemen, and the way that cops and robbers talk with one another, is more authentically executed
Okay.
and studied
Okay.
in Miami Vice.
Fine.
And there are lots of examples of that. Okay,
Right.
I mean, when, for example, in the opening sequence, this incredible opening sequence in this nightclub where they're kind of conducting this surveillance sting operation. It's a very long sequence, and Michael Mann takes you through this really long-winded process of surveillance, and then police informants, and then liaising with the FBI. That whole thing
Yeah.
is so well studied.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The first interactions with the antagonist of the film, Jose Hierro, played by John Ortiz, which is set in this kind of like, I think they're in Paraguay, in this kind of like dungeon.
I really love that scene for its lighting.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it's underground and you have these sort of like outlets in the ceiling where the sunlight is coming through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a mood.
Yes.
The whole film
It's
is
a
somewhat
mood.
of a mood,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Anyway, continue.
That scene when they're kind of exchanging, not pleasantries, but they're
Yeah.
feeling each other out.
Yeah.
And of course, these criminals are very well versed
Mm-hmm.
in spotting undercover cops, because they're the top of the kind of Colombian
Yeah.
drug dealing food chain.
Yeah.
And that whole interaction where they're feeling each other out, and the cops similarly kind of second guess how the criminals would try and dress them down or feel them out. And when Colin Farrell takes out this kind of like a grenade and puts it on the table and kind of turns the tables on the drug dealers, asking them if they are actually police informants.
What's the line?
We don't audition for business. Business auditions for us.
Okay.
Are you bringing water?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, very
Right.
good. So that was a good reason.
Oh, you like
Second
that?
reason.
Oh, good. I got
Second
on a roll.
reason.
Second reason. All right. Second reason. Some of the most breathtaking cinematography
Right.
I've seen captured. Michael Mann is obviously
Famous for it.
okay, because we've seen it with Manhunter and Heat and Collateral, but with this film, what I think is really well captured is it's the film is called Miami Vice, and obviously Miami is a pivotal character in the story. But I love the way that Miami is shot almost ironically, to the extent that it isn't shot in the way that the television show was shot so much, or let's say a film like Scarface,
Yeah,
which,
yeah.
you know, kind of tries to present the glossy facade of
Well,
Miami.
I mean, I would argue that like Scarface presents a very raw side of Miami as well. Like, you know, that little kind of bodega he works in, the house they go to where Hector is for the drug deal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
chainsaw
mean?
scene, yeah.
The chainsaw scene.
Yeah.
I mean, these are like down and dingy places.
Yeah.
So there is that aspect of it. And in fact, I would say Miami Vice, the film that we're talking about, is quite glamorous in the way it's shot.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe the locations are not always, but the way it's shot makes, with those blue hues and those flares that Michael Mann loves to use, it makes everything look cool. But okay, there is an aspect of it, you're right, he subverts the idea of Miami, being this like party place, right?
Yeah,
that's what he does.
I think
okay?
that's what is so kind of cleverly and subtly captured and executed.
Right.
It's
Where
like
it's fun,
Miami,
and it's like Art Deco buildings everywhere,
but it's like Miami,
and it's like the bird
yeah,
cage.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like Miami by night.
Yeah.
and a lot of cityscape shots, and a lot of I want to almost say like the kind of the kind of the dark side, the criminal dark side of Miami is what's captured here.
Right.
Okay, and I think that's handled expertly. Also, the shots also captured of waterways and oceans and the sky.
Yeah,
there are
amazing.
some amazing plane shots of the Cessnas going through the clouds.
Yes.
And of course some incredible shots of the cityscape at night.
Those aerial shots.
And of course Michael Mann, this is kind of
his bread and butter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he perfected this so exceptionally in Heat.
Yes.
And I know we've discussed that before, and in Collateral is actually almost like the kind of the brother to Miami Vice, because they look very, very similar.
I mean,
they're shot. I mean, Collateral shot exclusively at night.
Yeah.
So I think from a cinematography point of view, it's mesmerizing. It's mesmerizing.
Okay,
and
fine.
I love that. Okay.
Yes. Okay, I'll give you that. But then again, that's true of every Michael Mann film.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So point number 3. What's your third reason why this is the greatest
All right.
police crime film ever?
I don't know if you're going to agree with this point, but I have how do I say this? I have great misgivings about the use of IP being used, which is now being exploited so lazily by filmmakers.
Give us a couple of examples.
Okay, I mean, prior to this, they had adapted Dukes of Hazzard and Starsky and Hutch, which were I want to say they were kind of like the kind of predecessor cop shows to. I mean, Dukes of Hazzard wasn't a cop show, but Starsky and Hutch was the 70s predecessor to Miami Vice, and what those adaptations reflected was almost a lampooning of
we go back to subversion, right?
Yeah.
So a way to refresh an IP is to subvert it completely.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, in a stupid way, Craig tried to do that with Bond, but let's not get into that. In Skyfall especially.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're getting rid of the gadgets. We're going, in that sense.
I get it.
I mean, actually, they do it quite well in Skyfall. I take it back, but I just hate Craig. I just put that out there, as you know. But yes,
still haven't gotten over that, huh?
I never will.
Yeah.
The subversion of the original to create something new, right?
Yeah.
And usually that's done in a more comedic way, as you say, Starsky and Hutch, Dukes of Hazzard, Ghostbusters, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
This Miami Vice went the other way.
It went the other way. Yeah.
They got more serious.
Correct.
They got more gritty.
Correct.
They got more raw. They got more into the weeds of the police procedural, as you say, which obviously at the time didn't work.
It didn't work.
It didn't make the money.
It's funny because actually, Starsky and Hutch was actually a huge commercial hit.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was afraid. I remember at the time that the Miami Vice kind of the film production had been announced. I was afraid that they would go down the route and turn it into a spoof version of itself. And the reason I feared and the reason I was worried about that was because the original show is something that, for the 20 years that kind of succeeded it, I don't think there is a show that has been more, I want to say, jokingly referenced, made fun of, satirized. That's more the topic of fancy dress parties, than the show Miami Vice.
So,
and I think that what I loved is the fact that Michael Mann said, no, we're scrapping all that. I'm just using the Miami Vice IP, and I'm going to kind of supercharge the IP and the source material. But for the fact that the cops are called Crockett and Tubbs, and some of the supporting characters share the same names as the ones from the original show. Yes. Okay. I mean, it almost bears no similarity.
Well, the Colin Farrell went for the same sort of hair and the suits.
Well, actually,
and the cars.
No, I actually the suits.
The Ferraris are there.
The Ferrari's there, but for that, most of the rest is actually a complete it's completely abandoned the original kind of look and feel and sensibility of the TV show. Okay, bold move. Okay, but the right move, I think the right move, and I think it would have been impossible. I think it would have been impossible to actually, if you had done it. I think if you had tried to mimic the original show, okay, in 2006, I think it would have it just wouldn't have resonated well with audiences.
And I think now that a few years have passed,
Yes.
people do appreciate that. I think it has come into its own.
Yeah, cult classic status. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say classic, but it has much more appreciation than it once did.
Yeah, I
Okay?
agree with you.
All right, fine.
So I'm saying that the use of the IP and the respect.
How it was executed. How it was executed.
Yeah, the fact that Michael Mann respected his original source material,
Yes.
unlike, for example, and I have to reference this, unlike what Eddie Murphy did with Coming to America 2 and Beverly Hills Cop 4, which is not respecting the original source material, just going for the buck, right? Michael Mann has a tremendous appreciation
Yeah.
and a tremendous for his own craft and his
Right.
own work, right?
Go on.
And his own creation.
I'll give you that.
So I love that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, give me your fourth and final reason.
Fourth and
as
final.
to why this is the most underrated police movie.
Fourth and final
Else.
reason. Okay. Fourth and final reason. Okay. I'm going to give you. It's
Okay, you're going to give me
half and half. All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First.
So that's 5 reasons.
Casting.
Okay.
Casting. All right.
Okay.
Casting. Something.
I think that's where it's gone wrong.
Okay.
by the
All
way.
right. All right. Okay.
go
Okay.
on.
Now I've struggled with this in the past. I've struggled with this. There were times when I was irked and troubled by some of Colin Farrell's acting in this. All right, and I know we kind of agree on this, but having seen it more recently, I actually think with the passage of time, it's actually a very good, kind of gritty, tough, nuanced performance of a conflicted, flawed police detective. Okay, I'm not 100% good with the way they styled him. I think the handlebar mustache is a mistake, and I think the hairstyle is also a bit of a mistake. This kind of like
It is a mistake.
mullet. It's not really like it's kind. Yeah,
Fine.
it's a mullet.
Yes.
Right. It's kind of
Fine.
mullet. All right. So I'm not a
No, so ultimately, he's badly cast. I mean, he's a good actor, so he does pull
Well-
it off. But I think somebody else in the role would have been far better.
Well, like I said, I'm
Mark
saying
Dacascos being the
Mark
main one.
Dacascos. I thought, yeah,
Or
okay,
Sly.
or Stallone. Yeah, okay, it's true. Or Frank Stallone. In fact, I think was auditioning
Even
for this.
better.
Yeah,
Even
and he's a
better.
Miami resident.
Even better.
All right.
Even better.
Frank Stallone, by the way, you haven't responded to any of my Instagram
And there's been a
comments.
lot.
And there's been a
And there's
lot.
been a lot.
Okay, there's been a lot. So if you'd like to maybe give us a shout out or a sponsor, we'd be, we're more than happy to.
I think he needs
indul-
us
indulge
sponsorship more than we need his.
Okay.
But anyway, go on.
So I'm saying I'm not 100% sold on the way he looked, but I do actually like his performance more than I once did. I do think it's like tough.
Yes.
It's brooding.
Yes.
It's
Okay,
nuanced
fine.
and it's torture.
That's Farrell. What else?
Foxx.
Foxx.
Foxx was coming off his Oscar turn in Ray. He was, one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. I think he really captures the kind of slick, cool essence of Tubbs. Okay, originally played by Philip Michael Thomas. I think he plays him very, very well. Understated. Okay, he's cool. Okay, and Foxx is a cool guy as well, and I think he plays him cool. I think he's kind of comfortable in his own skin. I think he delivers his lines very, very well. There's nice supporting play from like Justin Theroux and Barry Shabaka Henley, who plays Castillo, who was played by Eddie Olmos in the original, but he's very good. John Ortiz is very good as the baddie.
The main baddie.
Yeah, well, there's the you mean the baddie with the big beard?
Yes.
I forgot what his name is. But
He's very good.
He's very good as well. He has like only like 1 or 2 scenes, but he's very, very good.
The female lead.
Gong Li. I'm not
right.
actually sold on her.
Fine.
But yeah.
Can I give you my...
I want your opinion.
Farrell is a mistake. I mean,
Okay.
although he's a good actor, he doesn't really pull it off.
Okay.
They make too much, it's too centered around him and not enough on the Foxx character. Tubbs? Crockett?
Yeah.
Which one is he?
Tubbs.
Tubbs. They should make more of a 50-50. It's
Okay.
too much about Crockett, not enough Tubbs.
Yeah, there's that.
We need more
Yes,
Tubbs.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
there's a
okay.
bit of that.
Okay.
It's almost like he's a secondary character.
Yeah.
And you're right, the female lead, it just doesn't work. It doesn't
Yes.
work with her.
You know what the
Gong
problem with
Li.
the do you know what the problem with the
What?
female lead is? It's fun.
It's a bit left of field.
I'll tell you what I'll tell
Yeah.
you what the problem is that she's the dialogue is unintelligible, right? Because I don't think she's a native English speaker. It's a very strange casting choice. At the same time, her vocabulary is so sophisticated, and that ends up colliding, and kind of it's like two locomotives going
Can
in
I
the other
ask you a
direction.
question? And
so
this
like,
is probably something we should have
yeah,
researched
go on,
before.
go on.
Is she a Chinese actress?
Yes,
Did this have a lot of Chinese money behind it?
Not that I'm aware of. Not from my.
Because usually,
not from
you know,
my
you know
research.
what I'm
Yeah,
getting at.
I am.
Yeah.
No, I think this was a case of Michael Mann again trying to.
Like in the Meg 2, when you have all these Chinese actors, that's because it's produced by basically China and many other films.
And the Meg 2, another crime masterpiece.
Meg 2 is a masterpiece.
I know, it is a masterpiece.
We have to do that.
I know
film.
you. I know we do. I know we do the Meg 2. Okay. No, I think that again the casting of Gong Li was again, you know, it's going a little bit too far. Far afield, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, so bad.
Like
this is working against you.
No, but I think overall, with the supporting cast in general, and I'm actually endorsing Farrell, and I'm actually tipping my
apart
cap
from
to
the
him.
Tash,
Okay?
no.
Right. Okay. All right. I also think that there are some exceptional action set pieces, okay? And we just touched that a little bit, okay? And
well, actually, you know what? Hold on.
You may.
One of the initial one, where they're in that house in the caravan and all that kind of stuff, which is not a bad thing.
Oh, when they rescue Trudy? Yes. Amazing.
No, that is amazing. My issue with
tell me.
is the special effects after the explosion. When like Foxx is
Oh,
thrown.
I love it.
I think it's so budget.
Really, I love it.
Anyway.
Okay, I was just gonna say
it's not realistic.
The
at all.
kind of, you know what I love about that scene?
What?
Is that
I mean, the tension is amazing.
The tension is so good, and like the fact that they're kind of I don't know how that scene is shot, but
badly.
It's shot so authentically. You really feel like you're in this kind of like
yes,
I don't know where they are in the
yes.
Everglades of Florida,
yes.
And they're
like
scoping out the caravans.
Caravan park,
right?
No, it is.
And and again, do you remember that scene when one of the female agents, who's a sharpshooter, enters the caravan and is pointing like a submachine gun at the guy's head and just unleashes just one bullet and it hits him in the head, which is like so. I mean, it's so expertly handled.
There's not actually that much action in the film.
There's not a lot of action in the film. I think, and again, like I was going to say, is that for a film, because it is a crime procedural. It's not a full-out kind of den of thieves action style film, right? But actually, when you think of Heat, except for that one scene in the middle, the kind of the bank robbery scene,
and the beginning.
That's a shorter action scene.
Yeah.
But really, it's that kind of scene in the middle. On either side of the action scene,
right.
There's not a lot of
you're right.
Anyway, I also think there's a shout out here, and I can't remember completely offhand, but I know that there was a very, very good soundtrack that was not cliched, that included, amongst others, a rendition of In the Air Tonight by a group called Nonpoint, which is really, really good and like a great contemporary take on the Phil Collins classic. And the Phil Collins classic is obviously synonymous with the opening scene of the television show.
Yes.
So I think it's not done gratuitously. Encore by Linkin Park and Jay-Z. That's the opening shots.
Great.
The opening montage in the nightclub.
Great open.
Amazing. Mogwai. There's Nina Simone, Sinnerman.
Fine.
There's like a club version of that, which is terrific. So, all great stuff. Now, you're right. Dismal box office returns.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen.
I think it lost Universal a lot of money.
Yes, it did. It did very badly.
Yeah.
But I think now people are starting to appreciate it. We liked it kind of from the get-go. I think the first viewing, maybe we didn't love it. But then the second and third, I mean, it grew on me for sure. And I actually like it a lot.
I like it a lot too.
I mean, it's got a lot of issues with it. But again, going back to what I said originally, it does create a bit of a mood. It's a bit of a mood film. Like many of our other Michael Mann films. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just like nice to be immersed in his world.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I think that Miami Vice world, despite the handlebar mustache, is actually something you enjoy.
You find it aspirational. You want to be working for Miami-Dade police.
Yeah, maybe to a certain extent.
Look, I do think
the go fast boats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I just want to say for anybody who likes the film, if you look at the deleted scenes,
subscribe please if you do, and tell us what you think about this film. Do you like his handlebar mustaches or not?
And if you look at the deleted scenes, the opening sequence, which was left on the cutting room floor, is actually this like really cool cigarette boat race where they are actually like posing as undercover cops, Crockett and Tubbs, and it's such an amazingly well shot scene. It's strange how Michael Mann opted for the cinematic version, which opens with the nightclub shot. I think actually the opening shot that was left out is really cool. And I think for anybody, I'm sure Miami Vice film aficionados have seen it, but anybody who's curious should actually like search for it on YouTube. It's available.
Absolutely.
And it's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, listen.
So
Well
in
said.
conclusion, what do you think?
I think you're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. And as for Stavros, we love you, Palisander. Less like Schultz or more like Schultz?
Oh yeah.
Let me know.
I saw noticed
Anyway,
that.
we're out. See you next time.